Hi everyone, today I would like to share one of the most meaningful experiences in my university life, my exchange experience in Australia. This presentation is about how I moved from silence to confidence. It's about how I slowly found my voice in a new cultural and educational environment. The experience I was involved in was a semester-long student exchange program in Australia. During this exchange, I studied in a new academic environment, joined class, work on group assignments, interact with local and international students, and live independently away from my familiar surroundings. I chose this exchange program for three main reasons. The first reason was that I want to experience a different education system. I want to see how students in another country learn, communicate, and participate in class. The second reason was that I want to improve my independence. Before the exchange, I was used to living in a familiar environment. I want to challenge myself and learn how to manage my own life, including accommodation, transportation, budgeting, and daily responsibility. The third reason was that I want to improve my intercultural communication skills. In today's globalized world, people need to work with others from different cultural backgrounds. I believe that studying in Australia would help me understand different cultures more deeply. Looking back, I think I didn't only choose an exchange program, I chose a challenge. I chose to step outside my comfort zone. During my exchange experience in Australia, my life was not only about attending class, it also included campus activities, cultural experience, and learning how to live independently. First, I participated in school clubs and campus activities. This gave me an opportunity to meet new people outside the classroom. Also, on weekends, I would travel around with my friends to learn more about Australian culture and experience local life. Third, I experienced independent living. I had to manage my own meals, transportation, budget, and daily schedule. These things may sound simple, but they taught me how to solve problems by myself and become more responsible. One of the biggest challenges I faced was speaking up in class. In the beginning, I often remained silent. Even when I had something to say, I worried too much about grammar, pronunciation, and whether my ideas were good enough. But later, I started to think more deeply about why Australian classrooms encourage open discussion. It was not simply because students were more outgoing, it was also connected to educational philosophy. Australian classrooms often value student-centered learning, critical thinking, and active participation. This was very different from my previous learning experience. Another challenge was communication. Although I had studied English for many years, communicating in real-life situations was more difficult than expected. Australian students often use slang, spoke quickly, and refer to cultural topics that were unfamiliar to me. There were occasions when I misunderstood jokes or failed to follow conversation during social gatherings. This situation sometimes made me feel sad. For this experience, I learned three important things: confidence, adaptability, and cultural awareness. First, I learned that confidence is not something we suddenly have. I realized that confidence grows through small actions. When I prepare one idea before class, join one discussion, or ask one question, I became a little more confident each time. Second, I learned adaptability. Living and studying in Australia was very different from what I was used to. I had to adjust to a new classroom style, new communication habit, and a new daily life. Third, I learned cultural awareness. I realized that people from different cultures may communicate, work, and express ideas in different ways. Instead of judging this difference, I learned to understand them with more patience and respect. This exchange experience changed me in many ways. Before the exchange, I was more nervous about making mistakes. I also relied more on familiar people and familiar routines. After the exchange, I became more confident, more open-minded, and more independent. I learned that making mistakes is not something to be shamed. In fact, mistakes can become part of the learning process. Every time I misunderstood something, asked for help, or tried again, I was learning. My advice to future exchange students is simple. Start before you feel ready. Don't wait until English is perfect before speaking. Don't wait until you fully understand a culture before joining activities. Don't wait until you feel completely confident before trying something new. Start small. Prepare one sentence before class. Ask one question. Talk to one new person. Join one activity. This small action can slowly build confidence. I would also advise students to keep reflecting. Experience alone doesn't automatically create growth. We grow when we think deeply about what happened, why it happened, how we respond, and what we can do differently next time. Thank you.